When I was struggling with my mental health, one of the biggest obstacles I had to overcome was being willing to talk to someone. And for some of you, you may be in that same state where you don't want to leave your home. You don't trust anyone in your community that you can talk with. I want to introduce you to BetterHelp. They have licensed therapists that is able to take you and actually talk to you via Zoom so you can do it from the comfort of your own home. These are licensed therapists. You can talk about faith or you cannot talk about faith. It doesn't matter. They're going to have something specific just for you. If you would like to receive a 10% discount for your first initial call, all you got to do is check out BetterHelp in the show notes below.
As corny as it sounds, we actually love getting on stage, the five of us, because we still love doing it. I think right now we're hoping for another hit record. Yeah. It's probably not going to happen, but there's something else you're aiming for. So I think as long as you have something to aim for, keep doing it. When you stop, it's time to quit, and we haven't stopped yet.
Hello, everyone. I'm comedian Mickey Bell. Welcome in to another week, another great podcast called Get Over It. We are highlighting successful people, and we're talking about the struggles, some of the, things they had to get over to get to be successful like you know them today. And that means that I, Mickey Bell, get to interview some really cool people. And I get to bring them into your living room, into your office, on your phone, wherever you are right now watching this video podcast. This gives me the opportunity to bring them to you. And so I'm excited because the guy today that is going to be sitting across from me, Marlon Hargis, he is with the band Exile. And I grew up listening to Exile. They are celebrating 60 years. Come on now. 60 years of being able to travel as a band and perform all over the world. We're going to dive into some things with Marlon that I think you're going to find very interesting and kind of encourage you at the same time. Are you ready? Because I am. It's time to get over it. Marlon, I am just ecstatic that I actually get to talk to you today. This is so awesome that you're actually here.
Thank you. You're embarrassing me, but thank you. I appreciate it.
So good. I mean, come on now. Who doesn't know Exile and who doesn't know the music? I mean, that's what I grew up on, and so to be able to sit here and talk to you is just fantastic.
Well, thank you. I mean, a lot of people grew up on us because we've been around a long time. This is the 61st year of the band, believe it or not. Yeah.
My goodness. So tell me how the band got started.
Well, like a lot of bands in the 60s, a bunch of high school kids. Now, they remember in 63, 64, the Beatles, all the British invasion. I remember literally watching the Beatles on Ed Sullivan and going, okay, I think that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Because I started taking classical music lessons when I was 5. I was made to. My parents made me, and I hated it.
Yeah.
But then at that point, I thought, this could be pretty cool. And I think all the band members kind of have the same background. We all played originally in different bands around central Kentucky. And then over the years, someone would join Exile, somebody else would join, someone would leave. And so that's how we all got started, just high school kids having fun. Didn't even think 6 months or 60 months down the road, much less 60 years.
Right.
It just kind of kept rolling and kept happening.
So whenever you are high school kids forming a band, what kind of places are you performing at that time?
Back then they were called sock hops, dance you have at a school, in a gym, proms.
Okay.
There were a few kind of clubs around in Kentucky. Of course, the thing is, if you're underage, you would have to go wait outside on a break, you know, or your parents would have to take you. But that's mainly sock hops and proms and that sort of stuff.
And so that's how it all got rolling.
Yeah, and you didn't make any money, but it didn't matter. It was just fun. You just loved music and had a good time.
So at what point did Marlon figure out that you could get chicks by being a musician?
Well, pretty early.
That's one of the side effects, the good things.
Right. But the thing is, and I mentioned this here a while back, as far as like going to proms and dances and stuff, I never socialized very much because I was usually working at those places.
Right.
You're playing in a band. So in a way, it's not all good socially, So, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
when you are looking at our current way of getting music out, we talk a lot about social media, TikTok, YouTube,
Right.
and the journey you had to take to get your music out versus what they're having to do now. Would you change it? Would you want to do it the way they're doing it now, or do you like the struggle that you had?
No. Well, for one thing, at my age, I don't quite understand all the technology. I'll get on Facebook and watch some TikTok stuff.
Right.
No, I think it's much harder because when we started, the only way to get play was on radio. You went in and you cut a record, a 45 back then, and if you got radio airplay, you had a hit record. Nothing else really mattered. And you didn't really sell a huge amount of merchandise and stuff back then. So it was radio airplay. Now, the downside to that is radio controlled everything.
Yeah.
So if you didn't get airplay, you're done. The advantage today is we really don't give well, I shouldn't put it that way. We don't depend on radio airplay, mainstream radio. Right. And we're probably not going to be played on mainstream radio. Now, there are a lot of stations that do play our music. We actually have a single out right now. But as far as major radio, it's totally irrelevant to us. And really, that's not bad. Because when we go in to do a new project, we have an album that was released late last year. We didn't go in worrying about, can this be a radio single? Can that be
like you did in the early days?
In the early, because there was a lot of pressure from the record company to say, all right, we have to have a single here, So a lot of pressure. Now we went in and pretty much did on this album the music we wanted to do.
That's got to be freeing, though.
It's very freeing. Yeah,
where you're actually enjoying it, and it's not like a job that you're having to push something that you don't really like.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of stress in those days. Now, I will say we didn't have to record anything we didn't want to.
Right.
And we were very lucky in that the songwriting came from within the band, so we weren't searching for material. So in a way, today's technology is a little more freeing than it used to be.
Right. And just knowing that, man, I still like the old way of knowing that I've got to get a song on the radio and being to have that moment of hearing that song on the radio for the first time.
There's nothing like it. I'm
a joke teller, so I'm not going to hear a song on the radio.
It's like when I heard my first joke on the radio. Wait a minute.
I have not heard that yet.
That's not my
But, just imagining that, because you actually have a goal. You as a band, you're working to get to this moment to where, okay, we just want to be able to hear our song on the radio, and then you have that moment.
Yeah. And also, physically, back then, you did albums. And there was something rewarding about finishing an album, having the album shipped to you, the album cover. You could look at it, look at the album cover, turn it over, look at your name on the back. Now, since it's all out in the air, you don't get that
physical touch.
Yeah. I will say this, though. We just had some vinyl copies of our recent project printed, and it was really cool. First album I've seen of ours in 20, 30 years.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be coming back.
It is.
People are loving those.
Yeah. They sound better. The frequency response on albums is actually much better than anything streaming or even CDs. So it's very cool that they're coming back.
So as a band that was doing the writing some of your own songs, did you write as a band or did you write as individuals and just brought it in? What was that process like for you guys?
It sort of started writing more as a band, and then some of us, like me, figured out I couldn't write worth a damn. So I figured out that's not what I'm good at. Now, I was actually good at engineering and producing, so I kind of, went in that direction. It sort of morphed into, there were basically two main songwriters in the band, JP and Sonny, and we began to figure that out. So at a certain point, and Les also is a good songwriter. So by the time we moved into the country field, actually back in the pop field, that's what it boiled down to. They would write together or sometimes individually and just come to the band with songs. And 9 times out of 10, they would present a song. If the band didn't like it, we wouldn't do it. But nine times out of 10, we like the song. So, and that's really how it still goes. They'll send a song or email a song, and we'll vote on it. There are 5 members, and if everyone likes it or a majority likes it, we'll record it. And look at the guys; they don't take offense if no one does like it,
Right.
because it's kind of a personal thing. You like it or you don't. So that's the way it's worked out.
My goodness. You, the one person that doesn't write songs, going, I don't like it. It can be
Yeah.
written better. It can be
Yeah.
written better.
Yeah, but the guys, they've never made that argument,
And then-
because I think, personally, even though I don't write, I think I know a good song.
Absolutely.
Just from working in the studio.
You've been around it.
And being around it for
Mhm.
years. I think I know a good song and a bad song, and it's not a big deal. We don't worry about
Good
it.
deal. So people know you for Kiss You All Over.
They do.
So
yes.
tell me how that song came about.
That's one of the few songs that was not written by us.
Okay.
It was written by our producer, a guy named Mike Chapman, and his partner, Nikki Chin. He was a very successful European producer in England. He moved to the States and was looking for an American act. Through a odd series of events, he actually got literally a tape of some stuff we had recorded in Lexington, Kentucky.
A tape.
A tape, right.
We'll have to explain to some of our
Yeah.
viewers what a tape
It's
is.
too bad we don't have yeah.
Little tape.
A little tape, which I understand are kind of beginning to come back a little bit. Anyway, he got a tape. He had moved to Los Angeles, and he actually came to Kentucky. We were playing at a pool party in Lexington, Kentucky. He came to see the band, loved the band, and started producing us. And this went on for 2 or 3 or 4 years without having a hit. Then we did an album called Mixed Emotions, and on that album was a song that he brought called Kiss You All Over.
Mhm.
Frankly, we didn't think too much about the song. We just thought it was another song. We liked it, finished the album, went back to playing bars and everything. So all of a sudden we get a call from our manager in Los Angeles going, guys, you're not going to believe this. This song is blowing up. So we went literally from playing for the door money in a bar one week to appearing on the Midnight Special and going on tour with Aerosmith in about another 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
So
I mean, that quick.
back then,
It just happened.
it happened that quick. And really for about a year, and I'm not being facetious, you don't really know what hit you. I mean, because you're just going from one tour to
You're
another,
in the middle of it.
recording. And in retrospect, I wish I had spent more time enjoying it, because sometimes you get so caught up in it, you don't enjoy it.
Right.
So that's what it happened that quickly. And the song's still around after all these years.
That is crazy that it can. I mean, that's almost like a TikTok moment. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like where it just kind of blows up and
Yeah.
it just kind of sets you on a track that you never expected.
Yeah, I mean, I guess things to happen on TikTok and stuff like that now, but it's a different process.
Absolutely.
I mean, back then it was through radio. And as you said, the first time you hear that song on the radio, you're going, maybe we're going to maybe this is going to work.
Yeah.
We literally starved for a lot of years, just barely getting by.
Mhm.
But we thought there's something here. We just have to keep at it, and that's what I would say to young artists. If you really believe in it, just keep plugging to a certain point. You also have to know when it's time
Exactly.
to hang it up. But if you really believe in yourself, just keep plugging away.
So, out of all the success that you've been able to experience as an individual as well as with the band,
Mm-hmm.
what moment in your life did you say, okay, I feel complete now? I have accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I've experienced all the victories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
It hasn't happened yet.
Really?
No.
You still have that hunger and drive.
I think if you felt like you were done, it'd be time to retire.
Yeah.
And as bad as I personally hate getting on a bus, getting on a plane, I mean, none of us like that part of it anymore. But as corny as it sounds, we actually love getting on stage, the 5 of us. Because we still love doing it, there's something else. I mean, I think right now we're hoping for another hit record.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to happen, but there's something else you're aiming for. So I think as long as you have something to aim for, keep doing it.
Mhm.
When you stop, it's time to quit. And we haven't stopped yet.
I love that. I love it because a lot of people go, I'm just now doing it for the fun of it or whatever. But no, y'all got that drive.
No, and we've said, and we still say we would never do it anymore just for the money, because frankly there are a lot of acts I think that are out there just for the money and kind of going through the motions. We have more pride. We wouldn't do that.
Oh, I love it.
And if it gets to that point, then we'll say, all right, it's time to hang it up.
Time to hang it up.
Yeah.
I know we talked a lot about the social media. We've talked a lot about the old school. I think the one thing that I'm seeing just with the people that I've been able to interview on the show is the fact that we've got social media. They come out quick.
Yeah.
And then they disappear.
Yeah.
You guys have been around 60 years. And that has a lot to say with the journey up. It wasn't a quick, even though you got on the Aerosmith tour and the other things, the TikTok blows you up and then blows you away. You guys have stayed around.
Right.
What has been that secret to staying around?
The thing is, now, 1978 was when the you-know-what hit the fan, but we had been working 15 years to do that. And I say we literally, some weeks starved, didn't make any money. So that's the difference, I think, because now, as you say, someone can be an overnight success. I'm not sure they necessarily know how to handle it,
right? Because
it's so quick. We always joke we can deal with any adversity because it's happened to us at some point. In all those years of struggling, anything that could go wrong did. So now there's nothing that can screw up bad enough that we can't handle it.
You've handled it before.
We've handled it before.
How did we handle it when it hit us the first time?
Yeah, or the second or third. So, I mean, I'm not trying to denigrate any of the young artists who win a show and then are suddenly huge stars and then they disappear, but that's the downside to it. If you can't handle it, or I'm not sure why, but it goes away real quickly.
Are you guys very protective of the sound that Exile has, as far as saying we've got a certain sound that our audience likes, we're going to stick to that? Or are you still to the point where you can say we could branch out and try a few things?
Yeah. It's kind of a thin line. I mean, the sound we have, we can't change. We can't change. It's our sound, and it's developed over the decades. Now we may say, well, let's try to branch out a little bit, but we're not going to sound that different no matter what we do.
Right.
For example, the single we have out now is a little different in that it's a very Beatlesque sounding song. A little more pop sounding than we normally did. But again, it's one of those songs on the album that we recorded it because we wanted to record it. And the record company picked, what single to release. So we've never tried to fit whatever the it thing is at the moment. I think you screw up if you do that.
Yeah.
So we just sound the way we do. I don't know what it is. It's not really country. It's not really rock. It's just us. So it's always going to be that way. But I think we're always pushing just a little bit for one thing, to keep ourselves interested.
So you're becoming edgy. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but we also don't want to become so edgy that the crowd's going to go, what the heck was that?
That's not the group I follow.
No, exactly. So, and that's another secret, I think, to our longevity is we always think of the crowd.
Yeah.
You don't go out. We go out and do our hits. We try to do a couple of new things from the album, but people don't want to hear songs they don't know. So you have to always. Actually, years ago, the band they were called Dick Clark Caravan of Stars. It was in the 60s, and that's something actually Dick Clark told the band, says, always play for your audience, not for what you want to do. So I think that's always stuck with us through the years, and maybe why we're still luckily drawing audiences.
Are you seeing your crowd? Because I know, 60 years, you have watched your fans grow up. They've kind of aged with you. Are you seeing some of your music now? What's it feel like when you see some of the younger people grabbing a hold of your music?
It's pretty cool. We were just doing the Opry, and one of our publicist's grandson was there, and he became a fan.
Yeah.
6 years old. My grandson's 10. He loves the band. So it's funny because in our crowd we may have 2 or 3 or 4 generations. Great grandparents bring their kids or bring their kids, and even though a lot of young people may come to our show not really knowing who we are, they seem to always leave enjoying it. Right. So it's great to see different generations.
Well, I think it's a testament to the talent, to the quality of songs that you do when you're able to go in and you have the multi-generations be able to say, we all enjoyed that. Because that's the approach I take with the comedy I do. I wanted it to where grandparents could enjoy it, but then their grandkids walk out going, okay, it wasn't so corny that it was just for the senior adults.
Yeah, exactly.
That we're able to stretch. I think that says a lot about you as an artist.
Yeah, and another thing, particularly with Kiss You All Over, that song's been used in a lot of movies and TV series through the years. Almost every 2 or 3 years, we'll find out, well, it's in a new movie. So there's a movie called Happy Gilmore that everyone thinks
very
about.
Familiar, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's brought a lot of younger artists along, too. So, yeah, it's cool to see a 10-year-old kid out front just smiling and enjoying it, along with an 80-year-old great-grandparent. So it's pretty cool. So
when you're putting together a project and you come up with the title A Million Miles Later.
That was a no-brainer.
I mean, it's like that's where you are.
Yeah, and actually, they JP and Sonny came with a song called A Million Miles Later, and after we recorded it, someone said, "Well, what are we going to call the album?" I'll call it. So, well, that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
because I don't know how many million miles we've covered over the years, but a lot more than a million for sure. So it just kind of made sense.
So the songs that are on this project, all new songs?
They were all, except there's one cover song, I guess you'd call it a cover song. We re-recorded a song called 16 Tons, Old Tennessee Ernie Ford song.
Okay.
It's kind of a different arrangement. We just liked it, and we'd been doing it in our show for a few years, and everyone seemed to love it. And, being from Kentucky, written by Merle Travis, who's a Kentuckian. So other than that, it's all original stuff and new stuff.
So what can people expect when they come to an Exile concert these days?
I don't have a clue. Well, I think the thing is, we always say on stage that our point is to just enjoy yourself. Kind of forget all the crap that's going on in the world. Forget all the negativity. Just have a good time. Enjoy yourself. We encourage people to sing along, dance, whatever, and it seems to work. And the interesting thing is, the better the crowd responds, the better we perform.
Right.
Because the two go hand in hand.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and there are a lot of nights, we might be a little tired, maybe travel 8 or 10 hours on a bus, but the minute we start playing and we see the crowd reacting, there's nothing better than looking in the crowd and seeing someone smiling, singing along. It raises you up, So that's the whole thing.
We are living in a time where politically, just things are just unstable.
Yeah.
And it seems like artists, TV stars, movie stars want to have a voice and they want to proclaim what they want to stand for. You guys have just kind of just said it's just about the music.
It is. And to be specific, within the band, we have a lot of different viewpoints. So we wouldn't, even if we couldn't really say, well, the band believes this or that, because we don't as an entity.
You all believe different
people have different beliefs.
Correct.
And we've kind of figured out on the bus, we don't talk about stuff like that. Yeah. Because it has nothing to do with our music. While I'm actually in favor of artists, if they feel strongly about something politically or socially, go for it. It's just that for us, it doesn't make sense. It's not that we're avoiding it. It's just that's not who we are.
I like the fact, though, and I understand people that want to speak out. I'm okay with that. I just like the fact of this is us, and we want you to enjoy our music, and we don't want you to like us just because of where we stand politically. Yeah. We want you to enjoy our craft and let our craft just stand for itself.
And also, from a artist viewpoint, chances are you're going to alienate half your crowd.
Absolutely.
If you make a real strong statement, and that's not good business. And even, frankly, even me personally on my social pages, I don't get into politics much because, again, you're just going to start arguments.
Exactly.
I'm not going to convince anyone to change their mind. They're not going to convince me. So what's the point? So I think individually we just try to stay away from that because it solves nothing.
And when you want people to come to the concert to forget about that, you can't be feeding it to them during the week before they get to the concert.
Yeah, and particularly not on stage.
Right.
Because you'll see people of different political followings because you can see stuff people are wearing. I mean, we see every aspect in our crowd, but they're all having a good time, which says something to me because they're not arguing with each other or fighting with each other. They're just there to enjoy it. So I think music has that calming effect maybe, and it's very important.
Oh, music is powerful.
I think,
It's very powerful because it can take you from one emotion to
Absolutely.
the next, and I think that's very powerful.
Yeah.
If there is a young artist that's watching this and they're just, they're a fan of the music. We talked about 60 years of being on this road. I think, what is it, the 45th anniversary of
Kiss You All Over.
Kiss You All Over?
Yeah.
What would you say to that young artist? I mean, because they're watching some overnight successful people. They're auditioning for all these
Right.
TV shows where it's going to make them a star immediately. Yeah. What would you say to that artist that's maybe even thinking about coming to Nashville or just, thinking about a career in this music industry? What would you say to them?
It's hard because things are so different, and, as far as moving to Nashville, it's okay to move to Nashville, but you better have a backup plan because the competition is, from what I understand, is just so hard now. One thing, you better have the passion for what you do. You better think it through and think, all right, I'm willing to starve. I'm willing to work in a restaurant. I'm willing to do this and that to keep trying to get somewhere. You need to have that passion. If you're like us and just started out to pick up girls and stuff, forget about it. And it ain't going to happen.
It's not going to happen now.
No, not going to happen. So you have to have that passion, but on the other hand, you have to approach it as a business. You don't want to get into it just to party and drink and drug and carry on. That's going to lead you nowhere. And believe me, we can.
Is that one of those things you're talking about?
We can tell you that from experience. Well, we had a good time during the years, but we survived it. Thank God we did. But I would say you have to approach it as a business. I mean, you have to look at the dollars and cents and what you're spending, and so there's kind of two extremes. You have to believe, you have to be able to sacrifice. You also have to have, if you have a strong family following, that makes a big difference. If you have a wife or husband or parents that support you, which we were lucky to have growing up, I'll have to say. And that's a huge thing if you have a family background to help you. But it's really hard, And even though you may think it does happen overnight, as you pointed earlier, it's probably not going to last.
Right.
So you have to be able to put the years and the time in.
Well, I just want to thank you personally for keeping the band together. You guys keep.
It was just me.
Yeah, nobody else.
Nobody else had anything to do with it.
Let me just say this: if they would have shown up today, I would have given them credit. Right? You showed up.
I showed up.
It's
I
all
got
you.
all the credit.
It's all you.
Yeah.
It's all you.
Yeah.
If they wanted some of the credit, they could have came and got it.
The band should be called Marlon Hargis Exile.
You write every song. You arrange every song. It's all you.
Of course, it's
60 years because of you.
And if any of the band members are watching, we didn't say any of that.
They're not going to watch this.
Him.
They don't even know who I am. They're not even going to watch this. You were the only one that took the bait.
It's each of us has a place, and each of us knows what we do within the band structure. We couldn't do it without all five of us.
Oh, absolutely.
And frankly, other band members through the years as well. It's a group effort.
And I think that's very, very encouraging when you've got that group that you can lean on each other.
Yeah, and a lack of ego. Past a certain point. I mean, you have to have an ego to be an artist.
Right.
But let's say this. In past years when we hired someone in the band and there was a huge ego issue, they weren't in the band very long.
Right.
They were gone. So
you got to earn it.
You do.
You got to earn it to have the ego.
And when you hire band members, the fact that you're able to get along with them is just as important as the talent, because you can have someone that plays their ass off, and if they're, you know what, they're not going to last very long.
That bus gets short too, doesn't it?
It gets real small. The smaller the egos, the more room there is.
Yes, the more room on the bus there is.
Yeah.
Marlon, I cannot thank you enough for coming in and talking with me. I'm a fan, and I love it. And I've loved the style, everything you do. And I just want to thank you for taking the time. I think you've encouraged some people, and
I've been discouraged a few too.
Well, that's fine. They needed to be.
Yeah.
They needed to be. If they didn't have a backup plan, they weren't passionate about it, you've saved them a lot of heartache.
Well, you know, in a way, that's true. You do save yourself a lot of wasted time.
And as far as I'm concerned, you're the whole reason Exile is together 60 years later. So
well, but we all are. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been very enjoyable.
It's been good. So, man, I can't wait to see what's next.
All right. Neither can I.